Admiral Zix Thor of the Centurion Empire stood before the High Command Council, his 6 crystalline appendages glinting under the plasma lights of the briefing chamber. The chamber, normally a place of calculated strategic discussions, today felt more like a comedy club, if only the Admiral was in on the joke. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, his voice modulator barely concealing his amusement, "we are gathered here to discuss what some," he shot a pointed look at Intelligence Officer Krex, "consider a potential threat to our galactic dominance. These humans," he pronounced the word as if it were a particularly amusing punchline. The assembled military leaders, representing the 12 most powerful species of the Centurion Empire, erupted in their various forms of laughter. Supreme Commander Vree's tentacles rippled in mirth, while War Minister Pixit released a series of clicking sounds that their universal translators rendered as chuckles. "These creatures," Zix Thor continued, activating the holographic display, "have no natural armor. Their bones break under minimal pressure. They lack basic survival adaptations like radiation resistance or vacuum tolerance. They can't even regenerate lost limbs." He paused for effect. "And the most amusing part, they need to shut down their consciousness for roughly 1/3 of their planetary rotation just to continue functioning." The laughter grew louder. General Hire, a towering mass of crystalline structures, actually vibrated with such force that small shards of their outer layer scattered across the floor. Their planet, Zix Thor brought up an image of Earth, a death trap by any reasonable standard. Violent atmospheric events, tectonic instabilities, and extreme temperature variations that would drive any sensible species to extinction. Yet somehow, these soft-bodied creatures not only survived, but achieved space flight, though, he added with a dismissive wave of his upper appendages, "their technology is practically primitive compared to ours. If I may, Admiral," a quiet voice cut through the dying laughter. All eyes, optical senses, and sensory arrays turned to Intelligence Officer KX, who had been waiting patiently in the shadows. The small gray-skinned officer moved forward, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing with concern. "While the physical limitations of humans are amusing," Krex began, their translator struggling to convey their unease, "our recent observations have revealed some disturbing patterns." The officer activated their own data stream, projecting footage that made several council members recoil. "This is what humans call parkour," they showed. "They jump between buildings for entertainment. They switch to another clip. They call this mixed martial arts. They deliberately engage in physical combat for sport." The laughter had died completely now. "But surely," War Minister Pixit interjected, "these must be aberrations. No species would willingly." "There's more," Krex continued, their bioluminescence now pulsing rapidly. "They have competitions where they run until they collapse. They climb frozen mountains without protective gear. They dive into ocean depths that would crush our strongest vessels, wearing nothing but primitive pressure suits. And they do all this for fun." Admiral Zix Thor's crystalline structure had lost some of its luster. "Surely you're not suggesting—" "I've saved the most concerning detail for last," Krex said, bringing up one final image. "This is their most popular entertainment format. They call it horror. They create simulations of their worst fears and gather in groups to experience them. They deliberately trigger their own fear responses for pleasure." A heavy silence fell over the chamber, broken only by the soft hum of the holographic projectors. "So," Admiral Zix Thor said slowly, his earlier amusement completely evaporated, "you're telling us that we're dealing with a species that treats death-defying acts as entertainment, sees combat as a recreational activity, and deliberately scares itself for fun?" "Precisely," Krex confirmed. "And there's one more thing, Admiral. When faced with threats or dangerous situations, they've been observed to do something truly inexplicable." The intelligence officer hesitated. "They bare their teeth in what they call a smile, right before they do something that defies all logical risk assessment." The briefing room remained silent as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just physically unpredictable, they were psychologically incomprehensible. And in the grand game of galactic dominance, nothing was more dangerous than an opponent you couldn't understand. The Centon battle fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, all 1,000 ships arranged in a precise geometric pattern that would have made any mathematics professor weep with joy. Admiral Zix Thor had chosen this particular arrangement after extensive research into human psychological warfare. The diamond spear formation was designed to project maximum intimidation while maintaining optimal firing positions, and it was, by any reasonable standard, terrifying, which made the human response all the more disturbing. "They're taking pictures?" Second Commander Pixel reported, their crystalline structure vibrating with confusion. "The human information networks are full of something called selfies with our fleet in the background." Admiral Zix Thor's command crystal pulsed with irritation. "Patch me through to their primary military command." The hollow screen flickered to life, revealing including Commander Alexis Chun of the United Earth Defense Force. She was a small human by their standards, with close-cropped black hair and what the Admiral's xenopsychology briefing had identified as a resting smirk face. "Welcome to Earth," Commander Chan said casually, sipping from a container marked "World's Okayest Commander. Love what you've done with the fleet formation, very geometric." Commander Chan, Zix Thor began, his translator set to maximum intimidation. "We are the Centurion Empire, rulers of 12,000 star systems. Your planet stands at the edge of our territory. We have come to discuss your species' place in the galactic order." Cool. Chun nodded, taking another sip. "Quick question, though. Did you guys intentionally arrange your ships to look like the PlayStation logo, or was that just a happy accident?" Several bridge officers had to quickly check their universal translators for malfunction. "We demand an immediate diplomatic summit," Zix Thor continued, ignoring the bizarre reference. "Your species will submit to our authority or face immediate consequences." Right about that, Chun set down her cup. "We're actually in the middle of something called Tuesday, but we could probably squeeze you in. How does 1500 hours sound? We'll even throw in snacks." The Admiral's crystals flashed dangerously. "This is not a negotiation, Commander. We have enough firepower in this fleet to reduce your major cities to ash." "Neat." Chen's face lit up with what the Admiral's briefing had warned him was a grin. "Hey, quick side question. Have you guys ever heard of something called Operation Yeet before?" Before Zix Thor could process this nonsensical query, his tactical officer interrupted. "Admiral, the humans are launching something from their lunar surface. The fleet sensors track thousands of small objects accelerating from hidden lunar bases. They weren't missiles or any recognized weapon system. They appeared to be simple metal spheres." "Oh, those?" Chun was examining her nails now. "Just some bowling balls we had lying around. We figured, hey, if we've got company dropping by, might as well show off our throwing arm." Zix Thor's translator struggled with the concept. "Yeah, for fun. We calculated that with the moon's reduced gravity and a bit of good old-fashioned human ingenuity, we could get them up to about, what was it, Jenkins? About 0.1 C. Commander," a voice called from off-screen, "give or take a few thousand kilometers per second." The tactical display suddenly lit up with alarm signals as the fleet's computers calculated the kinetic energy of thousands of simple metal spheres moving at a significant fraction of light speed. "You wouldn't dare." Zix Thor's crystals paled. "The chaos, the destruction, the sheer waste of recreational equipment." "Oh, relax," Chun waved dismissively. "These are just the cheap ones from Space Dave's discount bowling emporium. But hey, if you're worried, we could discuss this in person. We've got this great little place called Dave and Buster's. You can see where we got the inspiration." The Admiral's tactical training ward with his growing sense of existential dread. These humans had turned simple sports equipment into relativistic weapons, and they were treating it like a joke. "A diplomatic meeting would be acceptable," he finally managed. "Wonderful." Chun clapped her hands. "Fair warning, though, our chief negotiator just finished something called a Red Bull and coffee cocktail. He's very excited to meet you all, like literally vibrating with excitement." We had to strap him to his chair. The diplomatic summit that followed would go down in both human and Centurion history as the day of 1,000 facepalms. The human delegation arrived wearing what they called casual Friday attire, t-shirts with incomprehensible phrases like, "I'm not procrastinating, I'm charging my attack," and "Don't make me use my project manager voice." When the Centurion delegation threatened to deploy their planet-cracking weapons, the humans responded by sharing videos of something called gender reveal parties that had accidentally caused similar levels of destruction. When War Minister Pixit attempted to demonstrate Centurion superiority by consuming deadly poison, the humans introduced them to something called competitive hot sauce eating and Tide Pod challenges. And when the Admiral finally lost his patience and slammed his appendages on the table in rage, the entire human delegation burst into laughter. "Oh man," Chin wiped tears from her eyes, "you guys are going to love Halloween. We've got this thing called pranks." It was at this point that Intelligence Officer Krex, who had been quietly observing, sent an urgent message to the High Command. "Hypothesis confirmed," Krex wrote. "Humans don't just survive chaos, they cultivate it. Creator help us all." The formal challenge was issued 3 days after what humans were now calling the Great Space Bowling Incident. Admiral Zix Thor, his crystalline structure still shimmering with indignation, had decided to fall back on the Centurion Empire's most sacred tradition, ritual combat. "Your species will select a champion, Then, he announced to the United Earth Defense Council, certain this would finally restore some dignity to the proceedings. They will face our greatest warrior in honorable combat. The victor species shall dictate the terms of our future relationship. The human representatives exchanged looks that the Admiral's xenopsychology training failed to interpret. Were they finally showing appropriate fear, respect, concern? Dibs on picking, Commander Chin shouted, raising her hand like an excited child. Oh my God, please let me pick. I know exactly who to call. 2 hours later, Marina, Mad Dog, Rodriguez strutted into the council chamber wearing cargo shorts and a t-shirt that read, I flexed and the sleeves fell off. She was carrying a large drink from something called Starbucks and had her hair tied up in what humans called a messy bun, held together by pure spite. Yo, she said, taking a loud slurp from her drink. Heard you guys wanted to throw down. The Centurion delegation stared in collective disbelief. Their champion, Krax the World Ender, was a 12-foot-tall living weapon who had conquered 3 solar systems single-handedly. This human barely cleared 5.5 foot and was currently trying to fish a whipped cream mustache off her upper lip with her tongue. This is your champion? Admiral Zix Thor asked, his translator struggling to convey his mixture of disbelief and offense. Oh right, credentials, Marina brightened. So like, I've got a black belt in karate, but that's boring. The cool stuff is I once won a bar fight using nothing but a rubber chicken and a packet of ketchup. Also, I hold the world record for most ghost peppers eaten while solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. The Admiral turned to Commander Chen. This is an insult to our sacred traditions. Nah, Chen grinned. This is just Marina being Marina. Did I mention she once survived 3 days in the Australian outback with nothing but a spork and a can-do attitude? Meanwhile, in the Senton preparation chamber, Krax the World Ender was undergoing his pre-combat rituals. His armor, forged in the heart of a dying star, was being polished to a mirror shine. His neural enhancers were being calibrated to maximum lethality. His biological weapon systems were being primed with toxins that could kill a small moon. In the human preparation room, Marina was doing yoga while watching cat videos. Should we be concerned? Intelligence Officer Krex asked, observing through the monitoring systems. She appears to be laughing at small, furry animals falling off furniture. Oh, that reminds me. Marina suddenly called out to her support team. Did anybody bring my playlist? You know, the one labeled songs to commit war crimes to? The Centurion observers watched in mounting confusion as Marina's preparation continued. She did a series of stretches while reciting lines from something called Princess Bride. She practiced what she called her victory dance, which seemed to involve a lot of hip movements and something called the robot. She ate something that made 3 of her support team members cry just from the smell. Humans, Admiral Zix Thor muttered, are clearly insane. What the Admiral didn't see was the glint in Marina's eyes when she studied the combat arena specs. He missed how she tested the gravity settings while pretending to do cartwheels. He didn't notice her cataloging every structural weakness while appearing to take selfies. And most importantly, he completely missed her sending a text message to Commander Chun. Oh well, they bought it. Ready to show them why humans don't need fancy armor to be apex predators. The response came back immediately. Give them hell, Mad Dog. By the way, we've got popcorn ready in the observation deck, the extra butter kind, you know, for after. As the time for combat approached, Krax the World Ender entered the arena in full battle regalia, his very presence causing the ground to tremble. Marina walked in, whistling something called Another One Bites the Dust and cracking her knuckles. The galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson about judging books by their covers, especially when those books were written by humans. The combat arena was a technological marvel, a perfect hexagonal space with adaptive gravity controls and energy barriers that could withstand a small nuclear blast. The Centurions had designed it to accommodate any fighting style in the known galaxy. They really should have researched Earth's WWE first. Krax the World Ender made an appropriately dramatic entrance. His armor gleamed under the arena lights, neural enhancers creating an intimidating aura of pure power. The crowd of alien dignitaries murmured appreciatively. Marina entered, doing finger guns and shouting, "What's up, party people?" She had swapped her casual wear for what she called her lucky gym shorts and a tank top that read, "I'm not short, I'm fun-sized. Begin." Admiral Zix Thor commanded from the observation deck. Krax immediately activated his armor strength amplifiers and charged forward with enough force to shatter reinforced titanium. Marina responded by doing the Macarena. "Is she dancing?" Krax asked in disbelief. "Oh yeah," Commander Chen grinned from the human observation section, mouth full of popcorn. "She does this. Gets in their heads, you know." The first hit from Krax sent Marina flying across the arena. She slammed into the energy barrier with enough force to make the generators whine. The alien crowd cheered. Marina stood up, cracked her neck and said, "Dude, nice. Do you work out?" Krax paused, his neural enhancers struggling to process this response. According to every combat algorithm, she should be, if not dead, at least seriously injured. "That's going to leave a bruise," Marina continued, rolling her shoulders. "Reminds me of that time I tried to ride a bull while wearing roller skates. Now that was a party." The second exchange went much like the first, with Krax's superior strength and technology seemingly giving him an overwhelming advantage. He landed blow after blow, each one capable of crushing battle tanks. Marina kept getting up and getting up and getting up, and she wouldn't stop talking. "You know what this reminds me of?" she said after being thrown into the ceiling for the third time. "CrossFit, though your form could use some work. Want some tips?" Krax's neural enhancers were starting to show error messages. His combat algorithms couldn't compute a scenario where an opponent treated devastating attacks like mild inconveniences. "Is this normal?" Admiral Zix Thor asked Commander Chun, trying to maintain his dignity while stress-eating something humans called Doritos. "Oh yeah," Chun nodded. "Marina once ran a marathon with a broken toe because someone bet her she couldn't. Did I mention she was hungover, and it was during a hurricane?" In the arena, Marina had started humming what she called her throwdown playlist while systematically testing Krax's defenses. Every seemingly random dodge was actually mapping his response times. Every joke was calculating how long it took his neural enhancers to process unexpected input. "Hey, big guy," she called out after ducking under a plasma burst. "Wanna hear a joke? Why did the Scarecrow win an award?" Krax, despite his programming, found himself hesitating. "Why?" he asked. "Because he was outstanding in his field." Marina delivered the punchline while simultaneously identifying a slight error in his left leg servos. The alien champion's confusion cost him precious milliseconds. Marina was already inside his guard, exploiting the delay she had spotted. She wasn't hitting hard. She was hitting smart, targeting joints and sensor arrays with precise strikes. "That's what I call a dad joke," she continued, dodging a retaliatory strike. "You know why? Because it's apparent." She punctuated the second terrible pun by finding a weak point in his armor's power distribution system. In the observation deck, Intelligence Officer KX was frantically updating their report. Subject displays unprecedented pain tolerance combined with tactical analysis disguised as erratic behavior. Hypothesis: all human behavior may contain hidden strategic elements. Krax activated his armor's ultimate weapon, a sonic disruption field designed to incapacitate any known species. Marina responded by starting to sing "Never Gonna Give You Up," slightly off-key. Did she just rickroll a planetary conqueror? Chun wiped away a proud tear. The breaking point came when Marina, after 30 minutes of seemingly chaotic combat, looked Krax dead in his sensor array and said, "Hey, you're pretty good. Wanna grab a coffee after this? I know this great place that makes something called a triple-shot unicorn frappuccino with extra glitter." Krax's neural enhancers, overwhelmed by trying to process the combination of casual conversation and lethal combat, finally crashed. The mighty warrior stood frozen, his systems caught in a logic loop, trying to determine if this was a fight to the death or a social invitation. Marina casually walked up to the paralyzed champion and pressed what looked like a sticky note onto his armor. It read, "404, champion not found. By the way," she added, "while we were chatting, I reprogrammed your neural interface using M-code transmitted through those random taps I was doing. You might want to up your firewalls. Also, your armor's power core is now playing Baby Shark on an endless loop." The arena fell silent, except for the faint muffled sounds of do-do-do-do-do-do coming from Krax's supposedly impenetrable armor. With Krax's neural systems compromised, Marina's entire demeanor changed. Gone was the playful grin, replaced by what Commander Chun would later describe in her report as that look she gets when someone eats the last pizza roll. Right then, Marina cracked her knuckles. "Warm-up's over. Let's have some real fun." The word sent a collective shiver through the alien observers. Even Admiral Zix Thor's crystals dimmed slightly. "Warm-up," Krax managed through his glitching systems. Marina's response was to grab her hair tie and launch it with deadly accuracy at a specific point on Krax's armor, a weak spot she'd identified during their warm-up phase. The elastic band slipped through a microscopic gap in the plating and wrapped around a crucial power coupling. "Fun fact," she announced to the stunned audience. "Humans can turn literally anything into a weapon. Watch this." She proceeded to demonstrate this principle using her shoelaces as a tripwire, her water bottle as a makeshift hydraulic pressure weapon, and most disturbingly, began whistling "It's a Small World" at precisely the resonant frequency of Krax's armor plating. "Is she harmonizing with his structural weaknesses?" KX asked in horror. "Oh yeah," Chun nodded, now recording everything on her phone. "She used to work as a karaoke host. Did you know she once defeated an entire biker gang by organizing an impromptu singing competition. In the arena, Marina switched tactics again. She began telling Crack's dad jokes while systematically dismantling his remaining defensive systems. Each pun was synchronized with a precise strike, creating a psychological warfare technique that the Centurion Empire would later classify as weaponized cringe. "Hey, Cracks, what do you call a bear with no teeth?" she asked, using her empty Starbucks cup as an improvised sonic amplifier. The mighty warrior, his combat protocols in shambles, found himself responding, "What, a gummy bear?" Marina delivered the punchline while using the cup's lid as a throwing star, severing a key power line. That's when she smiled. Not the playful grin from earlier, not the competitive smirk of a warrior. This was something else entirely, a smile that evolutionary biologists would recognize as the expression our ancestors wore before introducing saber-toothed tigers to the concept of extinction. By the creator, Admiral Zix Thor whispered, "She's using their death rush." Not Chun corrected, "That's just her. I'm about to do something incredibly stupid, and it's definitely going to work." Face. Marina proceeded to prove both interpretations correct. She began explaining in cheerful detail how she was disassembling Crax's supposedly invincible armor using nothing but stuff she found in her gym bag and basic physics. "See this?" She held up a protein bar wrapper. "Reflective surface. Your targeting systems hate it. And this?" She waggled her phone charger. "Turns out your power armor ports are pretty much universal." Who knew? Crax, the mighty world ender, conqueror of star systems, finally broke. "Wow, what are you?" Marina's smile widened. "I'm a human who got bored and creative. We're basically gods of chaos when that happens." In the observation deck, Intelligence Officer KX was having an existential crisis. "They're not warriors," they muttered. "They're not soldiers. They're something worse. They're problem solvers who think combat is entertaining." The final moment came when Marina, now wearing parts of Crax's own armor as improvised accessories, pulled out her phone and started playing Eye of the Tiger. "This is my victory song," she explained to her thoroughly traumatized opponent. "Usually, I save it for the end, but I figure you've earned an early preview. Also, while I was talking, I reprogrammed your remaining functional systems to dance to it. Hope you like the Macarena." The sight of Crax, the world ender, involuntarily performing earth dance moves while Marina conducted his movements using a half-empty water bottle as a baton would be forever burned into the collective memory of the Centurion Empire. In that moment, understanding finally dawned on the alien observers. Humans hadn't evolved as mere survivors or warriors. They had evolved as the ultimate improvisers, turning everything, including combat itself, into a form of entertainment. Note for the official record, Selks typed with trembling appendages. Humans don't just survive. They don't just fight. They choreograph chaos itself and then post it on something called social media with the caption, "LOL, watch this." Admiral Zix Thor, watching his empire's greatest champion perform the chicken dance in time to Earth music, realized that the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session of the Sentinel High Command had been going for 6 hours. Admiral Zix Thor's crystals were developing stress fractures from the proceedings. "Let me ensure I understand this correctly," Supreme Commander Valerie said, reviewing the combat footage for the 100th time. "Your champion was defeated by a protein bar wrapper, outdated Earth music, and a hair tie. Don't forget the hair tie," Krex added helpfully. On the main display, security feed showed the human victory celebration in full swing. They had somehow transformed the formal diplomatic chamber into something they called a party zone. Marina was teaching Krax, still partially stuck in dance mode, how to do something called the electric slide. The most disturbing aspect, War Minister Pax Saddle observed, is that they've already uploaded the combat footage to their information networks with something called memes overlaid on it. It has gone viral. Krex confirmed grimly, "The humans have turned our sacred combat ritual into what they call premium entertainment content." The footage switched to Commander Chan doing a dramatic reading of Krax's combat specifications, while Marina added interpretive dance commentary in the background. The video had already garnered several million likes and something called a trending on space Twitter badge. "We must reassess everything we thought we knew about humans," Admiral Zix Thor declared, pulling up his new threat analysis. "They're not just physically resilient, they're psychologically incomprehensible." His presentation highlighted the key findings. 1. Humans don't just adapt to chaos, they actively generate it for fun. 2. Any object, no matter how innocent, is a potential weapon in human hands. 3. Their response to stress is to make jokes about it. 4. They document everything, turning military encounters into content. 5. Their most terrifying weapon is their capacity to enjoy absolutely anything. But surely, one council member protested, "They must have some weaknesses?" As if on cue, the display showed Marina attempting to teach the entire alien diplomatic corps something called the Macarena, while Commander Chun added commentary. No, Yo, Ambassadors Vac, you've got to put more hip into it. Feel the rhythm. Also, your crystalline structure makes an awesome disco ball effect. Their weakness, Krex stated, might be that they have no weaknesses. They take everything seriously. The final realization came when they observed Marina sharing her combat footage on something called TikTok with the caption, LOL just fought an alien warlord NBD, but check out these sick moves. Hashtag space battle, hashtag alien takedown, hashtag who said hair ties can't be weapons, hashtag just human things. Admiral Zix Thor made his way to the diplomatic chamber, where the party was in full swing. He found Marina teaching Krax how to fist bump while explaining the concept of victory smoothies. You have thoroughly defeated our greatest warrior, the Admiral stated formally. Oh, that, Marina waved dismissively. That was just Tuesday for me. But hey, your boy Krax here is a total natural at the robot. We're thinking of starting a dance crew, calling it Humans and Heavy Metal. Get it? Because he's literally made of metal. The Admiral's universal translator nearly short-circuited trying to process this response. You consider one of the most significant military encounters in galactic history to be a casual social event? I mean, any day you make new friends is a good day, right? Marina grinned, pulling both Krax and the Admiral into what she called a selfie. Guys, this one's going on Instagram with the caption, just Xeno diplomacy things, as he watched his formerly fearsome champion attempt to dab while Marina cheered him on. Admiral Zix Thor finally understood the true terror of humanity. They didn't just survive the galaxy's horrors, they turned them into party games. The official recommendation to the Centurion Empire filed that day read simply, Humanity Classification, Too Chaotic to Conquer. Suggested course of action. Join their party before they decide to throw one anyway. Marina's video went on to break all known social media records across 17 star systems. The dance remix went platinum in 28